when you're not worried about annual fees on your credit cards, you can focus on the 20% of the travel hacking that generates 80% or even 90% really of the benefit. And in this case, it's focusing on the welcome bonuses.
Welcome to the Military Money Manual podcast, where every episode is all about achieving financial independence in the military faster than before. We believe personal finance shouldn't be boring or intimidating. Building wealth can be simple, and financial freedom is the ultimate financial goal. Now, here's your hosts, Spencer and Jamie.
Hello, podcast listeners. I'm Jamie, and I'm here with Spencer Reese, founder of MilitaryMoneyManual.com and author of the book, The Military Money Manual. Thanks for joining us today as we're going to be talking about why you should prioritize new cards and their welcome bonuses over maximizing earning and spending categories on your existing cards. Before we jump into it, if you have a second to do it safely and you're not currently driving, please leave us a 5-star review on Spotify or a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. That helps us out and helps spread the word about the good things we're doing here on the podcast. Recently, we passed over 50,000 downloads of the podcast, and we're incredibly grateful for that. So thank you for all the love, and let's keep it coming. Today, we're going to respond to a reader question that came in. So Spencer, what's the question and the topic we're going to talk about today?
Hey, Jamie. So the question I got was, I think this one was via email. And he said, "Hey, Spencer, I recently started my active duty service and I got the Amex Platinum card. Good move. Recently, and was going to apply for the Amex Gold soon for the bonus. However, I do spend a decent amount of money on gas each month because I do a lot of driving. And I was wondering which card you would suggest for gas purchases. I know my credit card is out of order from this list." I think he's talking about my recommended list of cards on my website, MilitaryMoneyManual.com. But he goes on to say, "But not sure how deep I want to get into the credit card game just yet. Do you think this is a good start or should I go a different route for my next card?" So basically what this guy's asking, and I didn't write down his name, so sorry, we'll call you John. What John is asking here is, should I prioritize the spending category bonus? So for instance, sometimes the Amex Gold card, for instance, offers 4x or 4 times or 4% back on your spending on restaurants and groceries. He's saying that he spends a lot of money on gas. So should he get a card that offers a better cash back or travel rewards on gas purchases, which could be like City Double Cash Card. I mean, that's 2% back on all purchases. So that would be 2% there. It depends on which program he's trying to earn the points in. And I think that really gets to the point where like all these credit card bonus points are very flexible, but they're all separate programs. So a Chase point is not an Amex point, is not a Capital One point. Now you can consolidate them into certain programs like Emirates, Etihad, Singapore, the big international super luxe business class air carriers. You can combine all your points by transferring them into your frequent flyer account for those airlines. But you can't combine, a Chase point and an Amex point.
So how do we know how beneficial a welcome bonus is when we see a big amount, like maybe 100,000 or 60,000 American Express membership reward points? How do we compare that and know if it's a better deal than earning 3 times or 4 times per dollar in a given category? How powerful can the welcome bonuses be, I guess, is the root of the question.
Yeah, so there's 3 levels really to a welcome bonus. So you might, and it's hard when you're first looking at it, you're like, well, what is a point worth? And at base, a credit card reward point is usually worth about a penny. So 100 credit card reward points are worth $1. So if you see a 100,000 point bonus like the Amex Platinum is currently offering, and it might not be offering this when you listen to this podcast, but currently in 2022, the Amex Platinum card is offering a 100,000 point bonus. And you can basically look at that divided by 100 and realize, hey, that's about a $1,000 bonus. Now, what's interesting about the Amex points, though, is you can't directly cash them out for cash. Now, if you have a Charles Schwab Amex Platinum card, which I also talk about on my website, you can transfer your points to your Charles Schwab investor checking account at 1.1 cents per point. So actually, 100,000 Amex points is worth $1,100. And same thing on the Chase side. So Chase points, you actually can directly cash out. I think same thing with Capital One and same thing with Citi Thank You points, where you can just ask for a check or you can apply a statement credit to your account. And that's as good as cash back right there. And those are always, you can always cash those out for a penny per point. If you think about, on the Chase Sapphire Reserve card, currently it's spend $4,000 and you earn 60,000 bonus points. So you can just take the $4,000, divide by the 60,000 bonus points and work out, how much cash back that essentially is. And let's say that you spent the $4,000 on travel. So the Chase Sapphire Reserve does 3x points on the travel category. So you're going to earn 12,000 points for your $4,000 of spend, plus your 60,000 point welcome bonus because you spent $4,000 in the first 3 months. So now you have 72,000 points and you only spent $4,000. Well, you can immediately cash out those 72,000 points for $720. So that's 18% cash back right there. I mean, that's absurd when you think about that's almost 20% cash back.
And that's not even one of the biggest bonuses out there. Bringing it for cash isn't even one of the best ways to redeem it. But if you pull it and use it for cash, you can see 18% is a great redemption method. But we talk about other strategies of how to get even more bang for your buck per mile. So that's really neat. Spencer, when would a time be to, you say not to worry about maximizing the categories quite yet. Is there ever a time where people may want to maximize their category spending? Or is that more advanced?
Honestly, I think when you're first getting started with travel hacking, especially in the military, when you don't have to worry about annual fees on the credit cards, the Chase, the Citi, the American Express cards, the world is your oyster. If you can meet the spending bonuses through your natural everyday spending, so you're not spending extra money. I think that's the critical thing there. If you're an E2, an E3, living in the dorms, eating at the DFAC or whatever your equivalent is for your branch, when you're eating at the chow hall, you're not spending any money. It's a great place to be. Like, save your money, max out your Roth IRA. Don't worry about credit cards until you've got the foundation of your financial house in order. And I talk a lot about this in my book, The Military Money Manual, where you need to make sure that you've got the basics right before you move on to these advanced travel hacking strategies. I see it on Reddit all the time where guys are like, hey, I opened up the Amex Platinum card and I didn't meet the minimum spend, so I didn't get the welcome bonus. It's like, dude, okay, great card to have year to year, like a lot of annual benefits, but you just missed out literally on over $1,000 of value because either you didn't keep track of it or your natural spending just doesn't allow you to meet the welcome bonus. So if you're not spending, if it's for the Amex Platinum card, let's say it's 100,000 points, $6,000 spend in 6 months, that's $1,000 per month of spending. And if you're living overseas where they don't accept American Express cards as often, that can be a hard barrier to meet. I really encourage people, don't open up these cards unless your natural spending, you're going to easily meet the welcome bonus spending requirements. And if you think it's going to be close or if it's going to add any additional stress to your life, then don't do it. This should be a fun, and honestly, it should be pretty easy, the travel hacking game. I know for myself, when I was younger, there were times when I would open up a card and I didn't know if I could meet the spending bonus, and I would have to, either front load and buy some gift cards to gas stations or buy some Amazon gift cards. And Amazon gift cards are a good way to do it because, especially in the States, everybody spends money on Amazon eventually.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a way that you can, front load your spending. If you got Christmas coming up or whatever, you might be able to buy a couple $100s of Amazon gift cards. But you don't want your natural spending to increase just to meet a welcome bonus. You need to make sure that you have a spending plan, you have a budget, you have a cash flow plan, and you want to make sure that the credit cards are adding value to your life and they're not creating stress and they're not detracting from your enjoyment of life.
A minute ago, you mentioned there's even more ways to maximize your sign-up bonuses to get the most bang for your buck. You mentioned the travel portal and some things like that. So how can we make even better gains than just simply pulling cash out of these sign-up bonuses?
Yeah, so in the example I gave, right, Chase Sapphire Reserve, not the best bonus available right now, unless you're really going for Chase Sapphire Reserve points and, in our Chase Ultimate Reward points. And they transfer to Hyatt, they transfer to Southwest, they transfer to United. They have a bunch of other travel partners. So it might be the right card for you. Plus, the Chase Sapphire Reserve has other benefits like no annual fee for military and a $300 annual travel credit. So I can definitely understand why you would go for that card. But we'll use this card as an example because I've already done the math. So like I said, you've got kind of 3 tiers of credit card points. At the very bottom, you can just cash them out for straight cash. Or if you're like one of our friends, he uses them on Amazon.com, which is actually the worst value because you're not even getting a penny per point. You're getting 0.7 cents per point on your Amex points. But we'll say the absolute bottom tier is cashing out the points at a penny per point. Then the next level up is using one of the travel portals. So like Chase, for instance, if you have a Chase Sapphire Reserve, you can cash out your Chase Ultimate Reward points at 1.5 cents each. So now all of a sudden, those 72,000 points we talked about earlier, when you're earning a 60,000 point welcome bonus plus 12,000 points for spending on travel on your CSR card, now that 72,000 points are not worth $720, but they're worth $1,080. So you can bump it up by 50%. And again, you only spent $4,000 to earn 72,000 points, but those 72,000 points, if you use them through the travel portal for hotels or for airfare, it's now worth over $1,000. So now the cashback value of your spending is 27%. Go try to find a card that's going to offer you 27% cash back on gas or groceries or anything. It won't. The company would go bankrupt.
That's an incredible value on your points. But what about if you take advantage of their travel partners and transfer to another airline or one of their travel partners instead? It's even more beneficial, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is where it gets crazy, right? So we talked about if you just cash it out, you're getting like 18% cash back on your spending. If you're using one of the travel portals, you're going to get 27% cash back. But then the ultimate level is when you transfer your Chase Ultimate Reward points to one of the travel transfer partners like Hyatt. I've redeemed Hyatt points for 3 cents of value before. I've redeemed Singapore and several other airlines for between 3 and 4 cents. So let's say you transfer your points to Hyatt, you're getting 3 cents of value. So now your 72,000 points, they're not worth $720. They're not worth $1,440. No, they're worth $2,160. So that's when you're getting. And again, remember, you've only spent $4,000 and it was money that you were going to spend anyways. Now you've spent $4,000. You've earned $2,160 worth of value from your points. That's a 54% cashback value. That just demonstrates right there that it's way more efficient to focus on earning the welcome bonuses than to mess around with spending reward categories. I understand if you spend a lot of money at gas, it might seem like, man, why am I using a card that only gets 1x points or 1% cash back on gas? But if there's still cards out there that you haven't opened yet, whether it's one of the hotel credit cards or the airline credit cards, and if you've got a trip coming up, especially if there's a card out there that you haven't opened up that's going to earn some of the credit card points, Chase Ultimate Reward points, American Express membership reward points, Capital One miles, Citi thank you points, any of those, if there's still a card out there that you haven't opened where you can earn those points are so flexible and so valuable. You need to go open up those cards and earn those points if you want to maximize this game.
It kind of reminds me of a saying you mentioned a couple weeks ago about stepping over dollars to pick up pennies.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, it's a application really of the Pareto principle, which you can Google this, but Wikipedia says that 80% of the consequences come from 20% of the causes. And a lot of things in life, and you'll notice this too, even at work, 80% of the work is done by 20% of the people, right? You know, if you have a business, you might notice that 20% of your customers or 20% of your products generate 80% of your revenue. So what you can do then with that Pareto principle is you can ruthlessly cut the 80% that's not providing value and focus on the part that is providing you value. And in this case, for travel hacking, especially military travel hacking, when you're not worried about annual fees on your credit cards, you can focus on the 20% of the travel hacking that generates 80% or even 90% really of the benefit. And in this case, it's focusing on the welcome bonuses. So you don't have to worry about every single purchase being the optimal purchase. All you have to worry about is, am I working on a welcome bonus? And if I'm not, then what's my next card? Like, what card am I going to get next? And that should become the question. Now, once you get to 20 or 30 cards like Jamie and I have, yeah, sure. Then you can prioritize, okay, I'm going to use this specific card because it's going to get me the most on groceries or gas or restaurant purchases.
People think that opening up a lot of cards is going to make their travel hacking and credit card or budgeting more complicated. But the way that you just sold it to me makes it sound less complicated if I'm just focusing on a spending bonus and not really trying to maximize, with a sticker on each credit card for which one's going to be best at the commissary and which one's going to be best at groceries and which one's going to be best eating out. if I only have one new card at a time and I'm working on the spending bonus, that's a very simple way to manage 15, 20 credit cards. I like that.
Yeah, exactly. And then if you've got auto pay set up on all of them, then you never have to worry about missing a payment. And if all that sounds kind of daunting, you're like, dude, I don't want 20 or 30 credit cards. I mean, you can get 80% of the benefits from military travel hacking by just focusing on 20% of or even really 10% of the credit cards that are available out there. So in that case, I would recommend an Amex Platinum card. Then you're getting, 5x points on air travel. An Amex Gold card, you're getting 4x points on restaurants and groceries. Chase Sapphire Reserve, that's picking up all your other travel categories with 3x points. Plus, sometimes American Express isn't as widely as accepted as Visa or MasterCard, especially overseas. And then you can pick up one of each of the hotel credit cards, Hyatt, IHG, Hilton, Marriott. And that's pretty much, once you've kind of built that roster right there, that'll take you, if you kind of slow roll it and you're taking the entire, 3 or 6 months to meet the minimum spend, it might take you a couple of years right there. And then you've pretty much, that's a pretty good quiver right there that you can pull those arrows out.
And it could be as simple as I'm going to use my platinum card for airfare and I'm going to use the gold one for eating out and grocery, and just kind of put a recurring expense like Netflix or Spotify on these extra cards, but not really use them as daily drivers. That's a really easy way to maximizing your benefits from each card, but not spending a ton of time on trying to find the perfect strategy.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think for most people, for me, even with 30 cards, I don't have time to figure out the exact perfect optimal strategy. But I do know, I have a couple rules in my head, right? Where it's, okay, airfare is probably going to go in my Amex Platinum or my Chase Sapphire Reserve. And then it might depend on, am I trying to earn Amex points, or do I have 1 million Amex points and I can't spend them fast enough? And so I want more Chase Sapphire Reserve points because I find those are easier, more flexible to use through the Chase Travel Portal. I think early in the game, especially when you still have 5 out of 4, so that's 5 credit cards opened in 24 months. And that's a Chase rule. You can Google Chase application rules or go to my website. I've got an article about that as well. But you want to focus on the big wins. You want to go for the sign-up bonuses, go for the welcome bonuses. If you're not working on a welcome bonus and you're still early in the game, you still have 5 out of 24 slots open, it's probably time to open up a new card if you've got your spreadsheet built out. Or if you're using one of those free tracker apps. One I've been using recently is Travel Freely by a guy named Zach Hood. We're going to have him on the podcast sooner rather than later, I hope. But he's got this great app, and that's what he talks about in his app, is focusing on those 80% wins where you're not worried about which card you're going to use for which spending category. The 80-20 principle is something that I talk about in my book, where if you focus on optimizing the big 3 spending categories, housing, transportation, and food, which are usually, that's pretty true for most Americans, most American families. Those are going to be the 3 things that you spend the most money on. If you can focus on optimizing those, that's going to be 80% of the benefit from budgeting or being intentional, being mindful with your money, with only 20% of the work. If you can optimize those and you can make sure that you're not buying too much house, you're not buying too much car, or you're buying a more fuel efficient car so you're not spending so much on gas. If you can figure out a way that you're not eating out lunch every day, that for a young airman or soldier, $20 on lunch every day, that's massive, man. That's $400 a month. That's almost enough money to max out your Roth IRA. So if you can figure out a way to optimize just that one little thing and maybe cut your lunch expenditures down to $10 a day, that's another $200 that you can be throwing into your investments.
We hope today's discussion and this frequently asked question that we talked about, maximizing your sign-up bonuses via the welcome bonus on the credit cards over maximizing earning and spending categories on your existing cards, has been beneficial for you, and that it will encourage you on your journey to financial independence while serving in the military, and will help you maximize your military benefits. As always, if you have any questions or feedback, message us on Instagram at Military Money Manual or via email at podcast@militarymoneymanual.com. We love the questions and messages we are getting. Thank you so much for sending them in, like this one. We appreciate you joining us today, and we're grateful for all of you. Please keep sharing the podcast with your friends and family and coworkers. It really means a lot to us.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the Military Money Manual podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. This helps others find the show, and we really appreciate it. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
Hey guys and gals, Spencer here again. Before I let you go, I want to let you know about two things. First, my 100% free course, it's called the Ultimate Military Credit Cards course, and you can sign up today at militarymoneymanual.com/UMC3. I've been running this course for over 4 years now, and we just celebrated our 7,000th graduate. In this course, I walk you through an absolute beginner's guide to travel hacking and opening your first fee-waived credit cards in the military. Again, you can sign up today at militarymoneymanual.com/UMC3. It's 100% free, no spam, and you can unsubscribe at any time. Second, my book, The Military Money Manual, A Practical Guide to Financial Freedom, is available on my website and Amazon today. Head over to shop.militarymoneymanual.com, or if you want the Amazon version, search Military Money Manual. This is the book I wish someone had handed me on my first day in the military. In this book, I cover the exact money tactics and investment strategies I used on my path to achieve financial independence while I served in the U.S. Air Force. The book is the best personal finance book specifically for you, whether you're an active duty, guard, reserve, a military spouse, enlisted, or officer. Any ROTC or Academy cadet can benefit from the tactical and strategic advice I lay out in the book. But don't just take my word for it. Here's 2 reviews of the book. Ryan on Goodreads.com wrote, "The most comprehensive investing personal finance book specifically written for military members I've read so far. This book should be handed to every new LT at commissioning." Matt on Amazon said, "This book is incredibly straightforward, easy to understand, practical, and useful. This book should be on the Commandant's reading list." Thanks, Matt. If you're interested in the book, head over to my website, shop.militarymoneymanual.com, and podcast listeners can use promo code PODCAST to get a special discount on the ebook, audiobook, and hardcover book. You can find the audiobook on Audible, the ebook on Amazon Kindle, and the hardcover book on Amazon, or again, head over to my website and use promo code PODCAST for a special discount. Thanks for listening.